Hello guys, welcome to a second episode of my 2022 Powerboost Hybrid review. I did the first part about a couple of months ago and I got a lot of responses and a lot of people saying, well, you should have waited longer, you don't know what you're talking about. I disagree with what you're saying about that truck. That truck's an awesome truck, there's nothing wrong with it. I think you're discouraging people from buying it. And I'm going to tell you, I really love the truck. It's a great truck. By no means want to discourage anyone. I think it's the way to go today. I kept looking at the Rams and the GMCs and the Chevys, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna have to stick with getting a Ford, So that's not to say Ram in particular has some pretty strong things about features and quality and those kind of things, but I still think right now that the Ford is probably the way I'm going to go. So I'm just going to go through some new things that I discovered after owning this truck. I still only have about 900 miles on it, so I'm just going to show you. Actually, I got more than 900 miles, at 1,024 miles. And so in my previous video, I mentioned that you could not really configure the gauges. And a lot of people were like, oh, you absolutely can configure the gauges. You don't know what you're talking about and all those kind of things. So, so I just want to show you this right here. There's really no configuration of the gauges, and I'll show you what I mean. So right here, this is what you can do. It says configure gauges, and the first selection we have is swap gauge position. So let's do that. Okay, and you can see that it swapped those two in the center. You see the two center gauges. I'm just going to keep going back and forth. You can see how they're changing. One of them is the transmission temperature, and it's midway because I just drove it, and so it's midway, showing that it's right where it ought to be. And then the other one is the oil pressure gauge. It's reading 0 now because even though the truck is on, it's in electric mode. So but literally all we are doing is swapping the temperature transmission gauge with the oil pressure gauge. Now, I have no idea why you need one on the left versus right. Like, come on, they just seem so useless. Like, why would I want to just swap those two? Like, I just don't understand why the software engineers went through so much trouble to swap two gauges. Like, I really just, for the life of me, can't understand why you would want one on the left versus on the right. So, I mean, not picking on it, it just don't make any sense. So let's go to the next selection. It says left select gauge. So let's hit that. Okay, so that left gauge, we can make it be the oil pressure, which is what it currently is right now, or we can make it be the transmission temperature. And you notice it's just jumping over the transmission temperature. It goes straight from oil pressure to turbo boost, and it's doing that because I already have it, up there. I already have the transmission temperature up there. And then you can go down. Those are the only three you can do, like oil pressure, transmission, or turbo boost. So let's change it to turbo boost. You can see the turbo boost right there. And honestly, that's probably a better or more useful gauge than the transmission temperature gauge if you're not pulling anything. Because if you're not pulling anything, you should never be overheating your transmission. That's really if you're pulling some serious weight, particularly up through the mountains, you may start overheating your transmission. And so that's the only reason I would see why someone would want that up there. So, but having the turbo gauge up there, I'm gonna leave the turbo on there, and then we're gonna go back, and then it says right select gauge, and so I'm gonna change the right select gauge to the oil pressure, because you want to know that you have oil pressure. To me, I just think those are probably more useful. But that's literally it right there, guys. Like, you see it yourself. Configure gauges. All you can do is swap the positions of the two in the center. Now, somebody said, no, it's more than that. There's more configurations than that. Okay, so you can go right here and you can change the speedo from kilometers per hour to miles per hour. And then this brake coach. So there's some little, settings in here. Like, it lets you know when you cross the border. Neutral tow. I don't know what this does here, but I'm guessing you can probably flat tow this vehicle, but then it says preconditions not met. So I'm not sure what that is. Let's go back up again. Eco coach. I mean, I don't really understand. I mean, it really doesn't do anything, but you see what it does. It puts that right there. So it just kind of helps you stay in the green zone. And I'm gonna tell you, you get out of that green zone so fast. Like, you really are gonna have to be just so uneasy. You're gonna have to be so easy on the accelerator that, you know, you're gonna be out of that in a split second. So it does show that. And then the brake coach, you can take that on and off. And so anyway, that right there, the brake coach, is something that shows up when you turn the system off. So I'm not sure it's going to do it now because I didn't drive it, but let's just see. So when you turn it off, okay, see, it gives you this little trip summary, but it will give you more than that. I'm just cranking it right now, so it's not showing it, but anyway, these are your settings here. Let me just start from the beginning. Ford always has this signature My View. And in My View here, you can select the screens you want: calm screen, fuel economy, this trip. I love this trip. And then trip 1, trip 2, tire pressure, seat belts. And that just kind of shows you who's in their seatbelt and who's not. Off-roading, and I'll get to that later. But power distribution, eco behavior, EV coach, and trailer tire information. The trailer tire information only works if you have those trailer tire extensions inside of your tires. So that's something that's optional, and I don't have that. So let's go back. So anyway, as far as configuring the gauges, the other thing you can do is over here. There's a drive mode knob. And so when you turn this drive mode knob, then you can see this. So this is normal mode, which is what I was already in. And then I'm going to turn in another setting. It goes to slippery mode. And so it goes into 4-wheel drive. The gauges turn on like an aqua blue. And then I'm going to turn it again. We go from slippery to deep snow and sand. I said in one of my other videos that I don't know that you're going to see a huge difference in the behavior of the truck on some of these gauges. Someone got angry and were like, well, have you ever driven it through deep snow and sand and all that? I think that person didn't realize I have other vehicles that also have this setting. In fact, I have a Ford Explorer, and yes, I have driven it in a variety of different conditions. Honestly, I just was unable to tell a dramatic difference in some of the settings. Some of the settings do make a difference. Like, to me, deep snow and sand really doesn't seem to make really any real difference between that and slippery, or even the rock mode, which is on the Ford Explorer that I have. And then the mud and ruts. Like, what is different between mud and ruts versus deep snow and sand? I didn't see a difference. Let's see if you see anything change on the gauges. You can see that it's in 4 high and has differential lock on. You see the little lock down there? That's just letting you know that it has locked the rear differential. And that stays locked from both of those modes. So, and then the last mode from mud, ruts, we have to go all the way back. For some reason, that last mode, you have to go all the way to tow haul. And then beyond that, you finally get into eco mode. So it doesn't stay in eco mode like a lot of the Honda vehicles. If you put them in eco, they just stay in eco. Even when you shut them off, turn them back on, they're still in eco. This, when you let me see if it does it here. So I'm gonna turn it off, and I think it's gonna ask me, do I want to go back into eco mode? So I don't know why my door is ajar. Okay, let's see. Okay, guys, back. I had a little difficulty here, and when the truck reconnected, it stopped the camera. So anyway, did I want to go back into eco mode? It does ask sometimes, but it didn't do it that time. I don't know why. So anyway, let's move over here, show you the center stack, the infotainment center. I would say the colors are very vibrant here. It's really bright. Even when the sun hits this, it's really pretty. It's just a huge step up from Sync 3. Sync 4 is really awesome when it comes to how it looks. I do still say that it's a bit, there's some features lacking here. Like there's just a number of things that seem to be missing. So I'm trying to navigate like to Northern Tool here, and typically Sync 3 would give you like 3 different routes. And this does do that sometimes, but for some reason it's not doing it now. Not sure why. Let's see if we can make this bigger. But anyway, it will sometimes provide alternative routes. Why it's not doing it now, I don't know. Let's see. Let's hit details. You can hit start. You can see it says avoid 4x4 roads, which I really enjoy that. You can see right here, it's just showing different routes. It's really seems to be indicating that it really only wants me to go that route, but I think this is good. Let's see. Typically, it will provide the phone number, and it's not doing that. But anyway, I still think the colors are great. The features here, the zone lighting. The zone lighting, for some reason, they really make a big deal out of that. I think the zone lighting is okay, but when it comes to shining backwards, like behind you, I still think they should do a lot more than that. They could put a real spotlight and make it really shine, because it really just doesn't light up behind as well as I think it should. Like, particularly if you're going to use a fancy word like zone lighting, come on, make it really light up. And it doesn't really do that, but it's better than some of the other vehicles, I guess, that don't have that at all. But let's see. Let me go back here. We have the towing, and I haven't tried any of the towing features out, but the sound system is super good. I do have the upgraded B&O, Bang & Olufsen sound. I do not have the B&O Unleashed, but even with the normal B&O, I think it sounds pretty good. And I have an ear for hearing sound. So I'm going to show you something else. This is this Eco Idle. So in Eco Idle mode, the truck will idle higher than it normally will. And I think they say that allows it to charge the lithium battery a little quicker and maybe more efficient. And I think that's really good if you're like stopping all the time and you are running the AC, then the engine probably will stay off longer. It'll run at a higher RPM but stay off longer. And that's probably just better, you know, but that way it's not shutting on and off at so many different times. So I like that feature, but I also have it turned off because I'm not really using my truck in extended idle modes like that. So I just turned it off because it's kind of, when it comes on, it idles up kind of high, and then when you shift gears, it has to hurry up and idle down slower so that it doesn't jerk, and it's not always the smoothest transition, but still, I think they were thinking when they did that, and I think I do appreciate them putting that feature there. The rest of this, I think all you guys know about all of that. The sound, we talked about that already. You can change different sound modes from surround sound to just regular stereo. I don't know why anyone would have it on stereo. Surround is always a better way to go. It sounds much better, and it does make a dramatic difference. We were looking at the navigation here already. I'll tell you that this pinch to zoom, it's pretty incredible. I think that's better than you see in the vast majority of cars older than this, you know. So I think they really have stepped it up when it comes to pinch to zoom and panning around in the map. I really appreciate the detail and the green and how it's showing, you know, forestry areas or a country club. It's green in there. You can just see all that is good. It even has a little weather thing here, and you can click on it. You can see weather at destination. I don't know whether this is always updated or whether it's going to last for a year or two and then I have to pay for a subscription. I'm not really sure, but as you can see, it also shows a 5-day forecast. I have no idea why it's showing negative 89 degrees or what that means, but maybe it's, I think it's saying 72 through 89 degrees. That's what that's showing. So 72 at night, 89 in the day, which not negative. Why in the world did I say that? That's nonsense. But yeah, I like how it has this weather in here, and it's able to show a radar as well. Let's see if I can find that. I always forget how to do that, but it does have the radar in there. Let's see, I think it was if I can remember where it is. That is a thing in here. Like, it's hard to find certain things. You're like, okay, where is that? Where did I see that? And I just say that for some reason, even though I've gone to that weather radar, it's not where you expect it to be. So you're gonna have to try to. Eventually, I'll get used to this, but you would think it would just be in apps. To me, it seems to be where most likely should be, but that is not where it is. I think it was, let me go to features again. See, anyway, that's the only thing about this Sync 4. For me, it just seems hard to find things. I find myself constantly going through these and just like, where's everything? Traffic. Okay, so that's how I got to it. I went to Sync Navigation. Hit Sync Navigation, and then you can show the traffic on, and then right underneath that is the weather. So you can look at a radar map. Now, I really liked that, so let's pinch the zoom. It does start way out. I don't know why it does that. It tends to zoom way out. Shows the whole country instead of zooming in right to your location, and then you have to kind of wait on it to load. Then you can come in here and pinch the zoom. Maybe. Nope. It doesn't want me to pinch the zoom. But it will zoom in because I have done it before, but not now. So yeah, this has done this before. Really don't know why. I don't know. That it will zoom in. I can't get it to zoom in now. You can see I'm trying to pinch the zoom. I can't pan over. These are, let me see. It's almost like it has somewhat frozen. I don't know what it did at that time. So let's go back to where we were. We're going to get back to Sync Navigation. We're going to go to weather. Again, having trouble with that. Let's click this. Maybe that's what that is. I thought those were layers, but now it's not showing. It's not showing. I think this is something they need to work on, because you cannot zoom in. It will zoom in because I've had it zoomed in before, but I don't know how to zoom in now. Like, it doesn't pinch. There's no plus or minus buttons here. It's kind of annoying. So I'm just trying to show you real life experience dealing with this, and it absolutely will zoom in because I had it zoomed in the other day. I just don't remember what I did, and I can't get it to zoom in now. Like it's almost like it's unresponsive, like you can't do anything. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating. I'm not going to use up the whole video trying to demonstrate how it won't zoom in now, like it won't zoom in at all. I really don't know, man. So anyway, it does have it. It's kind of nice to have. Again, you can see the current weather. Eatonton. That's nice to see. I think most of us pull all that up on our phones now, but it's still nice to know you have it. And then you can show different things like gas stations, ATMs. I tend to like to see as much as possible. I don't drink coffee, so I'm not worried about that. I hate shopping, so I don't do that. I don't use an ATM card, so I don't have that. But I have all the rest in here. So, this trailer routing. Somebody said, "What is that?" So when you obviously there's some roads that are probably not fit to drive down if you're pulling a pretty large trailer, so you can optimize your route to avoid routes that a trailer can't fit down. So I do appreciate that. I don't know how well it works, but it is something they thought about. Predictive destinations. I think I have that turned off just simply because I do. And then you have alert preferences. It can alert you to a school zone. The thing is, it doesn't make a chime. It doesn't make an audible cue, and I think that it really should make an audible cue rather than. I think it just puts an indication on the screen rather than actually chiming. I don't think we really need a chime for cross-country border. I think we all know that we cross the border. Like, who's crossing the border that much? Railroad alert. It's kind of nice. And school zones. I think school zones are very important because they're putting cameras at a lot of the school zones. So if you're speeding and you're like 8 miles an hour over the speed limit, you just automatically get a camera flash that will take a picture of your tag and send you a ticket in the mail. So anyway, I'm gonna go through some other things. Don't want this video to be too long. So here's one of the most striking things about this vehicle, I think, is there's no 12-volt plug up here. There's no 12-volt, like some people call it a cigarette lighter, but there's no 12-volt input plug here. Nothing. It's got a 120 volt plug, but no 12 volt. Now, even in here, you just have the USB. And then in the back, there is a 12 volt. So back here, which I can't show you, but in the very back, there is a 12 volt. But here in the front, nothing there, nothing on the dashboard. And even in the center console, in this tray, there's also no 12 volt. The old truck, my 2017, had one inside of here. So I thought that was kind of shocking that they left that out of. This is the first vehicle ever on that did not have that. I will say that the seats in this truck are very, very comfortable. I think they're more comfortable than the Ram. That was another reason I went with this. The seats are very, very comfortable. I can't see anybody complaining about the seats not being comfortable. The seats are very, very comfortable. So I really appreciate that. I'm still trying to figure out what this is. It says 120 volt, and it's like a fuse or circuit breaker. I really don't know what that is. I got to read the book, but you know, they don't give you a paper manual with these trucks anymore. You got to pull it up online. So that's how it is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this gear shifter. So let me show you something. I don't know that I can show it to you well. Sometimes I find myself not able, like right now, I cannot move the gear shifter, and I don't know why. I literally cannot. It'll keep you from moving the gear shifter. I don't know why, because the truck is on. Or maybe it's not on. Okay, now the truck is on. So the truck was not actually on. But anyway, so you should move the gear shifter. But here's the thing. So I'm gonna drive forward a little bit. So I'm gonna drive forward, and while I'm driving forward, let me see. I'm gonna put my seatbelt on, and I just want to show you something that I've noticed here. Back up. I'm backing up. I'm going forward. Okay, now watch this. I'm going to open the door. As soon as I take my seatbelt off, you see it put the truck into park. So anyway, sometimes I'm like trying to move the truck a little bit. Sometimes when I'm like, this mostly happens when I'm moving my boat. It just keeps beeping at me. Okay, we know the door is not. This mostly happens when I'm trying to back my boat into the water. I don't have my seatbelt on because I'm backing up. I'm trying to back it into the lake. And then I open the door, and then it moves the gear shift. But oftentimes, just as I open the door, I'm also grabbing the gear shift, and it resists you. So I've got to get something I got to get used to. It's really not a real problem. I just wonder, I don't know why they think that they have to move the gear shift. Like all the old cars, none of them move their gear shift. If you open the door and got out while it was in gear, then that's kind of on you. But they're real big on safety, so that it does move the gear shift by itself. So anyway, I'll say this sunroof here. I do not have a sunroof in mine. I did have a sunroof in my other. And it's nice having the natural light come in. So I understand why people love the sunroof, because I loved it in my old truck. But I'll tell you, on a 95 degree day like today, this truck is much, much cooler without the sunroof. I got into it, and it just wasn't that hot in the inside in comparison to my other truck on a hot day. I have a Ford Explorer, and I can park them side by side. Ford Explorer, I bet, is at least, it's probably 10 degrees hotter in that Ford Explorer with that sunroof than it is inside of my Ford F150. So not having a sunroof does have some advantages. Some people say, well, you can tint the sunroof and you can get some reflective tint. Okay, yeah, you probably can do all that, but you know, it's still much cooler without it. So I want to show you the outside of this truck. I think a lot of you will be excited about what I have done. It's going to blow the horn, because if you have the key in your pocket and you get out, that's what it does. So let me see if I can just take a step back and you can see it. I mean, look how nice it looks. It looks great. I put a leveling kit on it, and I also put bigger tires on it. So if you put a leveling kit on it, this is the largest size tire you can put on it. And this tire is a 295/60/20. 295/60/20. So 20s come on the Lariat. I think you can get 18s on it too, but you can get these 20s, and you can put those 295s on it, and you can just see it. It really looks like a real truck at this point. Like it's got wide tires and they're bigger tires, and they are supposed to be solid, but you can hear them a little bit. But they do howl a little bit as well. But they're not bad. But it looks great. I just thought the other tires were just too small for a truck with this capacity. If you're going to have a truck, go on and have a truck. Like, don't put no passenger car tires on that thing. Put some real tires on that truck. I don't want to get too aggressive because I park it in my garage, and if the truck gets too tall, then it hits the top of the garage. I only have a few inches to play with. And I'm going to show you something else. Somebody commented in the video, they were like, well, if your fuel door is electronically stuck, then look at this. There's a string hanging down. I didn't know that when I saw it, but you can literally pull this string and boop, there goes, pops your door. Okay, here's me being super critical. I just kind of think a string hanging down looks a little tacky, though. That's just me. You can kind of tuck it in up in here. But I don't understand why they didn't, like, just put a latch in here or a latch there. I really don't know what the idea with a string is. Like, it would seem like it would be a little better if there was, like, a little latch in there rather than just a string hanging down in the wheel well. Like, that just seems so odd. I just don't understand it. But anyway, it's a great truck, guys. I do love it. It's been a great truck. And that's just my take on it after driving it a little more and assessing it a little better. Tell me what you guys think. No, I'm not getting no 24 miles to the gallon. I'm not going to get it with these kind of tires. I'm putting the lift kit on there. All that is acting against the fuel economy. But it's still getting decent gas mileage. I really can't complain. It does very good in the city. Out on the highway, no. You're not going to be really getting any real improvement over the regular EcoBoost 3.5, but in the city it really shines. Like that hybrid system is really great in the stop and go traffic, all that traffic up there in Atlanta where it's just stop and go. You will love the hybrid system in those conditions because oftentimes it's just silent and you're just rolling, and the electric motor is just sweet, man. I'm telling you, it's definitely the way to go if you're a city commuter. So and that was the main reason I got the Ford over the Ram. They have a real hybrid system, and I'm a big fan of the hybrid system. Again, it's kind of jerky. Some people, someone coming in and said, I don't have any jerking issues at all. I'm going to say he does have jerking issues. He's just not paying attention to them. It's not always smooth. It does have some jerks every now and then. There's some bumps. It's nothing dramatic. It's not going to throw you out to sea or anything like that. Doesn't feel like the Great Hulk ride down there in Orlando at Universal Studios. No, it's not going to throw you out the seat like that. But it does. There's some bumps. Some bumps. It's not super smooth system, but it seems to get better as the truck learns your driving style. But it's not a perfectly smooth transition. I promise, it's not. But again, I don't think it's at the point where anyone should make a major complaint, but it's still a fact. Yeah, so some people talked about rust being on these vehicles. I think Ford, they may have made some changes, but you can look at my wheel well, you can see they did a really good job of painting the frame. And even when you get underneath the truck, if you can see under here, I have absolutely no rust on mine. Mine is rust free. It looks like they've actually painted under here a lot better. Maybe because people did complain. So mine is still shiny clean under the bottom. No rust at all. And it has been in the rain. So, in fact, I pulled my boat with it and had to back part of the truck into the water a little bit. You don't never want to cover that differential. If you're backing down that far, that's too far. But it's gotten wet, but there's no rust. So I think Ford has done great with that. It's just a far better looking truck than, to me, the Ram. The Ram I'm just telling you, on the outside of the Rams just don't look that great. If you get the Limited, like the highest trim line of the Ram, it looks okay. But I just have an eye for the Ford a little more. So anyway, tell me what you think. Be as critical as you like. I like your comments. and just subscribe to my videos. I'm just getting started and I have a lot more content to come, so feel free to hit the subscribe button and send me in the comments what you think and what truck you'd like. And if any of you guys have the new 2022 or 2023 GMCs, let me know how those are, and maybe I'll be doing a test on one of those as well. So just let me know. Thanks so much.